Hi. Today we're playing with carnivorous plants. We've got a Venus flytrap. We have a, and I may pronounce this wrong, a Nampantha, and then we have, oh, I think this is a Drosera capensis, a Cape Sundew. Cape Sundew, see? Can you see that? Yes. And then a couple variety of some other things with these little cute little picture things. These just said they were assorted carnivorous plants. Carnivorous plants require a boggy area. That's how they grow in the wild. So we are going to make a tabletop bog garden. What you're going to need is a bowl or a container, no drainage, something that's about 4 to 5 inches high and wide enough so that you can put a nursery pot, or I got a little terracotta pot, put in the center that you're going to fill with water. That's going to keep that bog environment. Then get yourself some peat moss and get it really, really wet. Really, I mean, you want this soupy wet. That's what you want it. And just keep in mind, carnivorous plants, these suckers live in the bog. They do not live in an area where you get city water. So make sure you're using distilled water or rainwater. Otherwise, you may not be very successful at growing them. All those random things in city water or tap water or even bottled water is not good for them. And the peat moss increases that acidity level that they're going to enjoy so much, thus making it like a bog. You can also do something similar out in your yard, but I want something I can put on a table here on the patio. So we're going to fill our bowl with that soupy, muddy, mucky, just wet peat moss. Gonna need me a lot more. And then we're gonna make an area in the center that will accommodate our, I am using terracotta because that's gonna allow the water to wick through it and keep that bog going. You could also use just a regular nursery pot. That'll have a nice, even those holes, that'll keep it wet. You just want a nice area where you can fill it full of water from time to time to keep that moist. All right. So we're making good progress. So let me see how I want to set these. I got a couple different color varieties and I got 6 of them. So we can move them all around. And then I got a terracotta lid bottom that will go on here. So I want to take that into account when I'm setting in my little guys. So these all came from Lord of the Flies, Carnivorous Plants. I think this is, Little Prince of Oregon Nursery in Aurora. So then we're gonna get these guys out somehow. You know what? I'll be right back. I hadn't even thought they were so damp. They don't just pop out like regular plants do out of a nursery pot. Okay. And we'll make it a little hole for it. it can be happy. Start with making our hole for this next one first, before we make a giant mess. Oh, this got a rip coming out. Look at me just struggling, just making an absolute mess of this. A spoon. I should have had a spoon. Oh, but look at that. It pops right down in there. I think this is going to be a great conversation piece on the patio. Sitting entertaining folks. We can watch it catch the flies. I don't know about you, but we always get just a horrendous amount of flies in the summer that just kind of hover in our patio. Doesn't matter what we're doing. That's what we get. Okay, then I'm just going to pop that sucker out. Takes a little bit of finagling. Get that in there. And we'll just keep working our way around. It's also important that when you're selecting your varieties, well, most of them are going to have similar light requirements. There are some that are going to do better in a more shady environment, so be cautious of that. So where you're putting it, you have plants that will do well in the light that you're going to provide it. My area gets some morning sun and then some dappled light throughout the day, and maybe mid-afternoon, for a brief period, it will get a nice little heat up, but nothing too crazy. My patio is typically pretty pleasant all around. Got a couple areas toward the edge that get pretty heated. So, but begonias, I have many begonias, and they grow very well. And those things that partial sun to full sun typically do well. Okay, a little bit bigger of a home for this guy. He was in a bigger pot. These things just absolutely fascinate me. If I do well with this, next year's project, I think, if I can work it, I'm gonna make an area in my backyard that will be a bog garden, so I can get a little more creative. Now, the nice thing is all of these that I selected are perennials. I mean, the Venus flytrap is home to, what, Tennessee? I think it's Tennessee is where it's from. So that's gonna do very well. I will wash that off then. But, oh, I had a point. So once the evenings start getting cooler in the fall, before that first frost, then it'd be time to move your bog garden indoors, or put it into a greenhouse or somewhere where it's still going to get some light. But know that most of this will die off, because that's what it does. It lives in an area where it snows. And then next spring, as it starts warming up, it will come back. Just remember, rainwater or distilled water is the key here. Now the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some, I purchased some moss, I think reindeer moss. I think it'll look pretty coming around to cover up the soil. Who knows? Maybe I'll change that out in the coming weeks to actual moss that's grown out in my yard, just to give it that look, and maybe it'll cover this up. But there you have it. I just need to clean it up a little bit. But there we have our little bog garden. Check back periodically. I do my weekly walk through my garden, and I will be sure to give updates and show how this is doing. But hey, this seems like a great project if you've got a little tyke that wants to help. I mean, what kid doesn't want to play in the mud? You're making mud. You can have them make the mud. How exciting. Okay, happy gardening. Hope you get to make a bog garden, play with some carnivorous plants, or anything that would live in a bog type environment. And until next time, take it easy.